everyone, and welcome back once again to Immigration and Jobs Talk Show. Today, we are back again with another very exciting episode that is lined up just for you today. I'm Sam, your host, and before leading into our today's topic and announcing the name of our today's guest, let me read out this very important disclaimer. By watching our videos, you agree and understand that the information provided by our experts and attorneys, including comments and replies from users, is not a legal advice. So, use of information is at your own risk. All right, after this very important disclaimer, friends, welcome back everyone to Immigration and Jobs Talk Show. I'm your host, Sam. And today, again, we have a very interesting topic, a very important topic to deal with. And that is about the EB2 NIW and the EB1A, how to immigrate to the US without an employer. So, this is a very important topic because most of our viewers are not very much aware about the EB1A and EB2 NIW concepts, then eligibilities, also what are the applicants need to file these visas. So, in today's episode, we are going to explore it in a very detailed way with none other than Hailey, who is highly experienced in the field of immigration. None other than attorney Alessandro Giordano. Alessandro is a highly experienced immigration attorney licensed to practice in Florida, New York, and New Jersey. He has dedicated his career solely to the practice of immigration law, helping individuals and also businesses navigate the complexities of US immigration. So, with that, Alessandro, first of all, welcome back to Immigration and Jobs Talk Show. And it's the second time that we are meeting, and last episode was truly amazing and it was wonderful. So, thank you so much for joining us back again, and we are really honored to have you. So, how are you doing right now?
Good afternoon, Sam. I'm doing very well. Thank you again for having me here. I agree. Last episode was very interesting. And thank you for having me again. I'm excited to talk about EB1As and NIWs, a very interesting option for all those who want to live and work in the United States, but do not have an employer that can or wants to sponsor them. So these are self petitions, meaning that they allow petitioners to be able to immigrate to the United States based only on their own efforts, no employer or job offer or labor certification needed.
Wow. It sounds very interesting when there's no need for job offer. But today, I think we are going to dive into this topic and we'll understand everything in a very detailed manner. So, folks, you can also join us, by commenting in this session. And we are live on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter as well. So, in case if you have any question or want to know anything about today's topic, please go ahead and feel free to comment here on the comment section. Attorney Alessandro Giordano is here for an hour, and we will make sure that we are going to take up those questions and provide all the possible answer to your question. So yeah, I think Alessandro, before diving into today's question that I have prepared for you, I would also like to know some political views of your because
Hmm.
now it's a very news headline that Trump is back in the
Right,
office. And, just a few minutes back, he took his oath.
right.
So he is very much, enthusiastic towards the illegal immigrants. So what's your
Mhm.
call on that? I mean, do you think it is going to happen? He's going to deport those millions of illegal immigrants?
Well, let's say that immigration, to begin with, immigration is a highly politicized area of the law. So every time there is a new administration, there will be changes. This president, I had the opportunity to practice during his first presidency between 2016 and 2020. And I did notice some significant changes with
Mhm.
respect to certain areas of immigration. Um, there were major changes in the application of enforcement and policies and the application of laws and procedures with respect to undocumented individuals that I expected. I expected. As far as business, employment, and investment based immigration, I don't recall any changes that were too revolutionary, too significant. But I think the time is now, so we just wait and see.
Absolutely. And that's what we all are waiting right now. And as Trump has also said that golden year is right now, and it's going to be a golden year for everyone. So let's hope for the best and let's see what happens
Let's
and
see.
what more Trump brings up. Also, Alessandro, here's another very, I would say, a curious question that I'm having in my mind. That right now, we are seeing that this Musk versus Mega. And this is a very, I would say, a highly controversial topic that's going around in the news. So, what do you think? That is Trump going to get influenced with Elon Musk agenda, or he is going to stick with his ideologies?
Interesting question. I haven't given this too much thought, but that's definitely an interesting question. He surrounds himself with interesting individuals. Definitely, Elon Musk, businessman, foreign national. He's not a U.S. born, an American born citizen. Um, so I think that to some extent there will be some influence on maybe on the policies and some actions that the president will intend to take. It's again, he has said a lot of things,
Yeah.
right? He has promised a lot of things, but I think that sometimes you have to um, he has to deal with some practical issues. Like he has promised, let's say, mass deportation, right? But
Yeah.
there are some, constraints with respect to resources, and agents and agencies staffing. So let's see if that's going to happen. I think right now it's happening now. We just can just wait and see.
Absolutely. And I think we all are waiting for that. And we are seeing that what's going to happen because it's just today's 30 to 45 minutes. Trump has delivered his speech. And we have seen a lot of things, but we can't discuss in today's session. We need to
Right.
have another session for that. But coming back to our today's topic, Alessandro, today we are going to discuss about the EB2 NIW and EB1A, how to immigrate to the US without an employer. So I think let's start with my very first question. That is, how can someone apply for the EB2 NIW without a job offer? And what are the main things that they need?
So the EB2 NIW is a subcategory and an exception of the broader EB2 category or EB2 classification. Now, petitions under the regular EB2 classifications require a job offer and a labor certification filed by a U.S. employer. But the EB2 NIW waives the requirement of the job offer and labor certification. NIW stands for National Interest Waiver. So it waives the requirement of the job offer and the labor certification. So if I meet the requirements of the NIW part, then the government will waive the fact that I need an employer and a job offer and a labor certification. To first qualify for the EB2 NIW, I have to meet the requirements for the EB2 category, and I have to demonstrate that I am an advanced degree professional or an individual of exceptional ability. An advanced degree professional is someone who holds a degree above that of a bachelor's degree. And how do you meet this requirement? You could meet it by having a master's degree, either an American master's degree or a foreign equivalent, or PhD, obviously. Or if you don't have a master's degree or a PhD, you could meet this requirement by demonstrating that you have a bachelor's degree followed by 5 years of professional experience, which you accumulated after obtaining your degree. And these 5 years, at least 5 years of experience, have to be in the specialty of the degree. If I meet these requirements, I have my foot in the EB2 category, right? Then I can apply for the national interest waiver by demonstrating these three additional things. Number one, I have to show that my proposed activities in the United States, what I want to do in the United States, my proposed work, has substantial merit and national importance. Number two, I have to show that I am well positioned to carry out, to advance my proposed endeavor. And number three, I have to demonstrate that on balance, it will be beneficial for the United States to waive the requirements of a job offer and a labor certification and allow me to pursue permanent residence without an employer. So this is how individuals could technically self-sponsor and get their green card without the need of an employer and a job offer.
All right. Also, Alessandro, you mentioned that there should be a degree and master's degree, and
Mhm.
that can be okay. But is it something, because our viewers also are a bit concerned about the online degree and the offline degree? So, does these two degrees hold the same value, or is it something that you would like to suggest?
That's an interesting question. That's more of a practical question. I've had I've handled hundreds of these cases, like very, very many. As a matter of fact, EB2 NIWs and EB1As have been my core practice for the past at least 4.5 years. Um, I've had both scenarios. I've
Okay.
had online degrees that qualified as, maybe obtained abroad, that qualified as the equivalent of a US degree, either a master's or a bachelor's. And I've
Mm-hmm.
had some online degrees that did not make the cut. How do you show that a foreign degree is the equivalent of a US degree, either a master's degree or a PhD or a bachelor's? Usually we provide an expert opinion on the degree. It's called an academic evaluation. And, we ask an expert to evaluate the course of studies, the degree, if the university where you obtain the degree is accredited with the, let's say, proper agency, ministry, or department of education of your country. They do that part of the work. They evaluate everything where you studied, the course, the course of studies, the credits, and everything, and they tell us, yes, I think this degree is equivalent to a U.S. degree, to an American degree, or no, it's not. But I've had both cases, especially with online degrees. I've had instances where we were not able to obtain this equivalency to a U.S. degree, but in some cases we did.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I think, these are the very uncovered incidents or very uncovered experiences that mostly people talk, because they are more into process. But also, this is a very important thing, because it's very important to have a valid degree. And most of the people, they don't have the, I would say, accredited agency degrees, and there where they lack. But that's okay. That's a completely different topic. But I think this is also very important part to cover. And
Where
with
let me
that,
add, let me chime in here.
sure.
Qualifying for the to qualify for the EB2 classification, for the EB2 category, you could go the advanced degree way if you have an advanced degree, meaning master's, doctorate degree, or if you have a bachelor's degree and 5 years of experience, or if you don't have a degree, you could qualify via the exceptional ability route. So you could argue that you are an individual of exceptional ability in your area, in your field, and that could still qualify you for the EB2 category, right? It's just more difficult to argue exceptional ability than it is to argue advanced degree. Advanced degree, you have it or you don't have it. Exceptional
Right.
ability, there is a set, number of criteria, and you have to meet at least three of these criteria. So there is a little more room for discretion for the officer to object to you being an individual of exceptional ability, rather than with the advanced degree, which is more straightforward.
All right. Also, Alessandro, you have mentioned about that EB2 NIW can apply for, I mean, without a job offer. So,
Mhm.
is it EB1A can also apply without a job offer? Is it that
Correct.
possible?
That's correct. These are both self petitioning options, self petitioning benefits. For the EB1A, I have to demonstrate that I am an individual of extraordinary ability, that I rose at the very top of my field, that I intend to work in the United States within my area of extraordinary ability, that my work will benefit the country. Um, the way I demonstrate that I want to work in my area of extraordinary ability can be demonstrated by, let's say, a letter of interest or a contract or even a job offer, but it's not a legal requirement. You don't need to. Most of the times, my clients prepare a personal statement explaining in details how they intend to work in their area of extraordinary ability without the need to having any offer or even letter commitment from a third party, from anybody else. So yes, the EB1A as well is for self petitioners. There is no need for an employer to petition for you.
Wow, that's a great thing. And I think with these, EB1A, EB2 NIW, what are the challenges also? What are the common mistakes? We'll understand in the further session also. And meanwhile, I think I would also like to greet our viewers, those who have joined. So I can see Vishnu, I can see Santosh, I can also see some Faith from LinkedIn profile. So I think thank you so much, friends, for joining here. And I think we'll be taking these questions after an hour. So keep on posting them and stay tuned. We are definitely going to take them up. Meanwhile, Alessandro, coming back to my questions, I would like to know about like how long does it currently take to get an EB2 and IW first, and after that we are going to talk about the EB1A.
So for both EB2 NIW and EB1As, there are two timelines that we want to keep into consideration. Two timelines that are relevant. Number one, the first timeline is the one for the decision on the petition. So we file our case, we file our petition. How long does it take for USCIS to make a decision to either approve our petition, to request additional information or evidence, or to deny it? So for both the EB1A and the NIW, most petitions are usually, my experience is that they're usually adjudicated within, I would say, 12 months. However, it is possible in both cases to pay a premium processing fee and have this processing time of the petition, this decision time of the petition, expedited. And if I pay this premium processing fee, USCIS will take action on my case within 15 days for EB1As and within 45 days for national interest waiver petitions. Then there's another timeline that is relevant to these cases, which is the timeline for the visa availability. To be able to immigrate to the United States, I not only need to have my petition approved, but I also need to have an immigrant visa available. And this is because there is a limited number of green cards that the government can issue every year under the law. This is a number that is not set by USCIS. It's set by the law. It's not set by USCIS. It was set by Congress when it made the law. And this number of green cards are divided between all different petitions. And sometimes also according to the country of nationality of petitioners. So now, depending on the number of petitioners, there may be a longer or a shorter wait to have a visa available. So even if I have my petition approved, I have to wait until I have my visa available. Now, there is a tool that the government uses to determine who can actually apply for their green card or for an immigrant visa. And this tool is called the Visa Bulletin, and it's publicly available. And this Visa Bulletin will tell me if there is a backlog or not on a given petition. Right now, for the EB2 category, which is where the NIW, which is what the NIWs are part of, EB2 NIWs, yes, there is a bit of a backlog. Right now, the government is issuing green cards for those who applied, who filed their NIW before April 2023. So we're looking at almost about, I would say, a year, 9 months backlog. Well, there is no backlog right now for the first preference category, so for EB1As, unless you're a national of China, India, and if you are from either of these two countries, then yes, there is a wait.
All right. So I think thank you so much, Alessandro, for letting us know about the delays of EB2 NIW and EB1A visas. And yes, February 2025 visa bulletin is also out. So it's a
Right?
request for everyone to go ahead and have a proper checkout to that uscis.gov website, and it's going to be very helpful. Okay, so Alessandro, here's my another question, and that's about the common mistakes, that people make when applying for these visas. So, what are your point of view on that? What would you like to suggest how they can avoid them?
Well, the first mistake for me is not working with an experienced attorney. Preparation is key. You want to work with somebody who has a lot of these cases under their belt, who has seen things in this field. The second mistake is not strategizing enough. And this can happen even when working with an attorney. Again, it's important to work with an experienced attorney when it comes to EB1As and EB2 NIWs. Working on strategy with an attorney is very important because this is something very important. Meeting the minimum requirements will not necessarily get you approved. Meeting the minimum requirements will not necessarily get you approved. You need to work with an attorney to present your case the best possible way and make sure you are providing the best quality evidence that you can out of your circumstances. And there's a way to do that. There's a way to improve your profile, to present your, let's say for an NIW, your proposed activity in a way which is more favorable to you. The same activity, just presented in a way that is different from another. So working with an experienced attorney and strategizing on your case, I think it's key, and it's something that I see not not everybody does or does the right way.
Right, and I think that's very well put up. It's very important to always have that strategic plan with you. And also, Alessandro, you mentioned that firstly, it's very important to have a right attorney. So, how can an applicant find a right attorney, or how they can understand that to choose this attorney? I mean, would you like to give them the advice regarding this?
Yes, well, I would say even some basic internet research or Google search can help. You look at somebody's website and social media. If they talk about if they talk a lot about EB2s and NIWs and EB1As, maybe they have done a reasonable amount. Um, you can look at reviews. You can look at reviews. That's something, if clients have left positive reviews about EB1As, EB2 NIWs, that's also a good indicator. And then have a straightforward conversation with the attorney. How many cases have you handled like this? Have you handled a case with, that was similar to mine? Even though when I am asked that question, my answer is like, every case is different. Yes, let's say it's an engineer asking that question, uh, oil and gas engineer or a doctor. I tell them, yes, I've handled many engineers before, many engineer cases before, many doctor cases before, but each case is different. So ask those questions, get a feel for the lawyer, and check their reviews and their social media.
Absolutely. All right, and with that, friends, I would also like to suggest if you are looking for an attorney, if you're looking for an expert attorney, then please go ahead and contact attorney Alessandro Giordano. And
Thank
the
you.
contact details are on the screen. And you can also call him on 973-494-5649. And you can email him on giordano at thecompassfirm.com. And you can also visit his website, that is www.thecompassfirm.com. So these were his contact details, and I think with that we have some of our viewers also who has joined us. So, Alessandro, I would like to take Vishnu's comment, and he's asking that I have been researching the EB2 NIW and EB1A, and honestly, it's a bit overwhelming. Can you help me understand which one is a better fit for someone like me who has a strong professional background but isn't famous? How do you, as an attorney, decide which category to recommend?
Great question. Thank you for this question, Vishnu. I would need to, number one, look at your resume. Number two, have a conversation with you. Being famous is not a legal requirement. Sure, I've had some clients who ended up on very relevant media outlets who were interviewed by, in a very important media setting, so to say, uh, who had articles published about them in major media. But that is not all. That is not all. I've also had clients who maybe did not have any articles published about them. They were not famous, and still got approved. So you want to look at the minimum requirements. If you meet the minimum in theory, you could, even if you meet the requirements for both, you could file both petitions. But you want to see if that makes sense. That's a very specific consideration to make. But you want to see if you meet the requirements for either the EB2 NIW and or the EB1A. EB1A is a little more straightforward. There are 10 regulatory criteria to determine whether or not you are an individual of extraordinary ability. And once you meet those requirements, also you have to meet, there's something called the final merits determination. And you have to demonstrate that you will work in your area of extraordinary ability and that what you want to do will benefit the country. But if you meet those three requirements, chances are you're going to have at least those three of those requirements. Chances are you're going to have a strong case, or a viable case at least. For the EB2 NIW, if you have an advanced degree and you have a proposed activity that you think could have an impact, a broader impact in the United States, and also chances are that you can have a strong case. One consideration also that I would like you to keep in mind is the visa bulletin. Depending on where you are from, for the second preference category, so for the EB2 NIW, you could face a longer wait than for the EB1A, right? For example, nationals of China are waiting, are being processed a 2020 petition, so they're waiting 4 or 5 years. For individuals from India, the visa bulletin is back at October 2012. So maybe if you're from one of these countries, it might make more sense to explore the EB1A option. But nonetheless, these are all considerations that you want to make with an experienced attorney. You sit down, send your resume, explain your story, what you want to do, who you are, what's your background, and then make the best decision for you and for your case.
Absolutely. All right. So thank you so much, Alessandro, for letting us know about it and also for answering Vishnu's question. So thank you so much, Vishnu, for participating in today's session. And we will be taking Santosh and Aryaman as well. So Aryaman, just stay connected because we'll be coming back after just a short break, and that will be of 2 minutes break. So I would like to say that don't go anywhere, folks. We'll be right back just after a break, and keep watching Immigration and Jobs Talk Show. Me, Sam, coming back just after a minute. Thank you so much. All right. Hello and welcome back, everyone, to Immigration and Jobs Talk Show. I'm your host, Sam, and with me today is very insightful attorney Alessandro Giordano. So, today we are discussing on the topic about the EB2 and EB1A, how to immigrate to the US without an employer. So, till now, we have discussed so much about this topic, and we have been taking our viewers' question. So, with that, I would like to continue taking my viewers' question, and that is about Ariman. We are going to take it this question. He's asking, does having recommendation from previous employer have significant impact on perm application? What would you like to
This is a
add on to
question
it?
about perm, but no, I don't think it does. I don't think it's going to have a significant impact. A letter of recommendation. If you need to demonstrate a certain amount of years of experience, you may need to get experience letter, but recommendation letter for a perm,
Mhm.
I don't think it has a significant
Okay, and that's what he
significant impact.
did. Yeah.
Letters of recommendation are very important for EB2 and NIWs. That I can tell you. For perms, I wouldn't say that necessarily, but for NIWs are very important. In EB2 NIWs, there is a requirement that is called a well position requirement. You have to demonstrate that you are well positioned to
Mhm.
execute, to implement, to carry out the work, the proposed activity, or the proposed project, right, in the United States. And if it's something that you have done in the past, chances are you are well positioned to do it again in the US, right? So a letter of recommendation that explains how you were successful, how you contributed, right? Or how you um, achieved something in a similar or related endeavor will be um, will be relevant to demonstrating that you are well positioned to carry out your proposed endeavor. So letters of recommendation very important for NIWs.
All right. Thank you so much, Ariman, for your question. And in case if you still have any follow-up question or would like to know more about today's topic, please go ahead and drop in the comment section. We are definitely going to take them up. Also, Santosh is here, and Santosh is asking, is it possible to file for both EB2 NIW and EB1A simultaneously? Does doing so improve the likelihood of success, or could it raise complications with USCIS during the review process?
Possible, if you mean if it's legally allowed, if it's legally possible to have both petitions pending, it is. It is. They're going to be analyzed and adjudicated as two separate petitions. I don't think one has any bearing on the other, unless there's something inconsistent between the two. That could be a problem. But provided that they're both truthful, accurate, and strongly presented petitions, yes, you could have them. You know, you could have them pending both at the same time. Um, it's twice the work. If you work with an attorney, it's maybe can be more expensive. So it's a consideration. These are considerations that you might want to make. But yes, it is possible.
All right. So I think that's a great news that you can apply for both together, EB2 NIW and EB1A. So thank you so much, Santosh, for asking this question and participating in today's event. And with that, Alessandro, here I have another question, and that I would like to know it from you. That what potential changes or updates can we expect for the EB2 NIW and EB1A visa categories in 2025?
Interesting. Again, it's happening right now. I'm very curious to see what's gonna change, if anything is gonna change. Again, it is hard to say. As I mentioned before, I had the opportunity to practice under the first, um, administration of President Trump, and to be honest, I have not noticed many crazy changes or many significant differences when it came to EB2 NIWs or EB1As. Um, Investment based immigration, employment based immigration, and talent based immigration, and NIWs and EB1A, I refer to it as talent based immigration. Um, I have not noticed anything too shocking in terms of changes between administrations. So I don't expect that. It is
Okay.
true that recently USCIS has issued an update on how they adjudicate NIW petitions. It has happened 5 days ago, so very, very recent. That's updated policy guidance. But whatever's going to happen in 2025, we just wait and see.
All right. And with that, here's my follow up question for you, Alessandro. As you said that we are still expecting, but still, what is the latest update from USCIS on EB2 and NIW petitions, and how does this new guidance affect people applying for the visa?
Right. So on January 15, USCIS issued an important document updating its policy guidance for EB2 and NIW petitions.
Mhm.
USCIS used this term, updated guidance, update, but this document doesn't introduce any, again, change, doesn't change the law or anything, but provides, and this is why it's important, it provides clarifications on how officers evaluate NIW petitions and provides guidance and clarification as to what kind of evidence a petitioner can provide. There are some key highlights that are I think they're very interesting. Number one, USCIS discusses the eligibility for the underlying EB2 classification. Before applying for the NIW, you have to qualify for the EB2 as either an advanced degree professional or an individual of exceptional ability. As we said, an advanced degree is either a master's degree or a PhD or a bachelor's degree followed by 5 years of progressive experience in the specialty. With respect to this update, this new policy guidance clarifies three important things. First, it says that the occupation through which the petitioner wants to advance their proposed endeavor, meaning occupation they want to have in the United States, must be a profession. So it must be an occupation that requires at least a bachelor's degree. So having a bachelor's degree per se is insufficient. I also have to demonstrate that the occupation in which I want to work in the US typically is one that requires a bachelor's degree. Then they clarify that for petitioners who do not hold a master's degree or a PhD and want to go the bachelor's degree route with the 5 years of post-bachelor's experience, the post-bachelor's experience has to be directly related to the field of the degree. So I cannot qualify for the EB2 if I have, let's say, bachelor's degree in chemistry and arguing that I have 5 years of experience as a, let's say, music teacher or philosophy teacher. They're not related. Those 5 years of experience have to be related to my degree in chemistry, to my bachelor's degree in chemistry. And then the third clarification about this part is that if the professional occupation requires a degree in a specific field, the 5 years of experience usually have to be related also to the proposed endeavor. This is something interesting that was mentioned. Another update as far as policy guidance is with respect to exceptional ability. So those individuals who do not have an advanced degree and they want to qualify or they're seeking to qualify for the EB2 classification as individuals of exceptional ability, USCIS clarified that the area of exceptional ability must be directly related to what you want to do in the United States. You cannot claim exceptional ability in a field and then do something totally different when you are in the US. A big section of this updated policy guidance is about the national importance of the proposed endeavor. And here they make a few key points. These are all things that us, NIW practitioners have kind of known. I've seen in decisions, in appeals, in RFEs, but they talk a lot about what could be nationally important and what could not be. The cool thing here, I think, is that they give actual examples. USCIS gives actual examples. They say somebody who wants to work as a consultant and only benefits their own client, maybe the impact is not broad enough. So they provide interesting examples as to what could be nationally important and what could not. They clarify that, for example, if there is an occupation with a national shortage, if I go work in that occupation to fill in the gap, so to say, that per se is not going to be sufficient to meet the national importance threshold. So they extensively discussed national importance of the proposed endeavor. I find this very interesting and very useful. And this update discusses the prongs, the well put position, and the unbalanced prong, and it actually provides evidence and criteria that USCIS uses, that officers actually use to adjudicate these petitions. So it's very useful, this section of the update. And then they make some considerations about STEM professions and entrepreneurs. Also very interesting. So what I think about this policy guidance is that for me it shifts, it signals a shift a little bit towards a little bit more restrictive but clearer interpretation with respect to some aspects of NIW petitions. And then something that I'm hopeful for is that this document, this update, will be reflected in the USCIS policy manual, which is what officers use, right, as a guide to adjudicate petitions. So it provides clarifications and explanations to officers as well. And I'm hopeful that with these clarifications and explanations, we will have more uniform, more consistent decisions. More uniform and more consistent NIW decisions for us practitioners are very valuable because they give us a better feedback. When I go and represent a client, I have a better feedback from USCIS, and I'm able to tell them, I'll be better positioned to say, yes, your case is strong, your case is viable, your case is very strong, So I'm hopeful.
Absolutely, and that's wonderfully explained. And I think all our viewers are getting to know about it, and that too, you are also putting up these very important points like how USCIS reacts and everything. What are the updates? So I think that's very informative and that's very insightful. So thank you so much, Alessandro, for putting up, these very main pointers and very important points that we all should be aware of. And with that, here's another question that I would like to know it from you. That have these recent changes in immigration policy has made it easier for certain professionals to get the EB2 NIW or EB1A visas? What do you have to say?
I wouldn't say that made it easier. I wouldn't say that. Particular with NIW. So this policy is 5 days old. So it's hard to say if it's going to make it easier or not, or harder. I think that as I said, I'm hopeful that it will give officers more guidance, which in the long run is going to make things clear for everybody. Clear means, from a certain standpoint, it means easier. I have a better feedback. I can tell you, yes, we can go this route. No, we cannot go this route. We can't present this way. We have to add this other thing. This is going to work. This is not going to work. So hopefully this guidance will lead to better feedback from USCIS, and ultimately it will help us lawyers help our clients with respect to their cases.
Wow, we hope so. That it definitely helps us. All right, and with that also, Alessandro, here's another question: that how can someone stand out? It's a very demanding question that most of the EB1A applicants ask. That how can they stand out when applying for an EB1A visa, especially with so much competition? What's your call on that?
So I wouldn't worry too much about the competition, but how can you stand out? There are things that you can do. The first thing you need to do is to speak with an attorney that has handled these cases, an attorney with experience in these cases. Sit down, strategize, tell them everything about you, and then work on building your profile. There are things that you can do. There are things that you can do to improve your profile. And these things will allow you to collect and present the best quality evidence you can under your circumstances, and especially present them in a way that is the most favorable to you. So I think this is the thing that I suggest. Work with an experienced attorney. The early onset, if you have in mind, if you're interested in applying, speak with an attorney and strategize and build your case.
Absolutely. And also, Alessandro, what would you like to say for the EB2 and NIW applicants?
So EB1As are usually more straightforward. You have a set of criteria. NIWs, that's when you have to be a little more, I don't want to say creative, but you have the opportunity to present in an open form your proposed activity, what you want to do in the United States. That's why it's also important to work with an attorney to be able to better describe, better present what you want to do, what's your proposed activity, your proposed endeavor in the United States, because that's going to make a difference. That's going to make a difference when the officer reads. Um, this is interesting. In the updated policy guidance that I was discussing before, USCIS has mentioned in multiple parts of the guidance that they like a clear and straightforward description of the proposed endeavor. Even they recognize that there are some occupations or some endeavors that are highly technical, right? Somebody working on you know some engineering projects, or somebody developing algorithms, uh, working on artificial intelligence, that can be complex to understand. USCIS favors a straightforward, direct, clear, yet detailed description of the endeavor. And this is what I mean. With the help of an attorney, of an experienced attorney, you can present this in a way that is going to be more helpful for your case.
Absolutely. And I think that's brilliantly explained because, most of the applicants, they are more into the detailed explanation that is not much required. So it
Right,
creates a lot of confusion, right, regarding the question and also the case that they are being going through. So I hope that friends, you're getting to know about these very important pointers, that it should be clear, to the point, and short and crisp, I would say. So that's how it will be easier for you. And
right,
with that, yeah, and with that also, I think this is the question that we have already taken, that can someone,
right.
one of our viewers already asked. So that's okay. We can shift to our next question, and that's about how important are recommendation letters for these visas and what should they include?
So re- recommendation letters have two very different roles in AB1A petitions and in NIW petitions. In AB1A petitions, general letters of recommendations, which discuss petitioners' achievement, contributions, are not as important as criteria specific evidence. Again, there are 10 criterias for extraordinary ability. You have to meet at least three. So in EB2 and in EB2, in EB1A cases, we do use letters. But for example, I use letters to argue the criterion of the leading or critical role in an organization with a distinguished reputation, or maybe to explain why my client made an original contribution of major significance to the field. Then I'm going to use a letter from, let's say, an expert to explain how my client meets this criteria. But a generic letter of recommendation, I don't think it's going to add much value to the case, unless it is specific for one of the criteria. In NIW petitions, instead, letters of recommendation are very important, in my opinion. So one of the requirements in the NIW is demonstrating that I'm able to carry out my proposed activity. I am well positioned. I mentioned this before. I'm well positioned to implement, develop, carry out my project, my activity, my work. And letters of recommendation can be used to as a testimony of my track record of success and achievement in efforts, work, projects that are similar or related to what I want to do in the United States. It's to say, Letter of recommendation can be used to give testimony to the fact that I was already successful in what I want to do in the United States. So I will. It's likely that I will also be successful in doing the same thing or a similar thing once I am in the US.
Absolutely. And I hope our viewers are getting to know about the importance of recommendation letters for these visas and what they should include. So, with that, here's another question that we have received from our viewer, and that is Shikha. So, Shikha, thank you so much for your question. And that is if someone has a complex immigration history, including a denied visa petition and a pending application, how can they successfully apply for while dealing with issues like changing jobs, providing expertise, and maintaining their immigration status?
So, complex immigration history, visa denial of visa petitions, um, they could definitely affect your ability to not necessarily and or not only to get your petition approved, but also your ability to actually immigrate to the United States, to actually get your permanent residence. There are two things, right? One, I'm getting my petition, my EB2 NIW or my EB1A approved. I need that. And then I need to show that I'm also admissible to the United States and that I am eligible to, let's say, apply for adjustment or obtain my immigrant visa through consular processing. And some things that happened within my immigration history that affect, let's say, my status in the United States, my lawful presence in the United States, that could affect my ability to immigrate. So this is even stronger reason to contact an attorney, tell them everything, so that they get a clear picture and they will be able to tell you, yes, you're going to be able to immigrate, or no, you, let's say, accumulated X amount of time of unlawful presence, you will need to wait, or no, or yes, you're good to go. So it is important to discuss these aspects with an attorney.
Absolutely. I think it's very important and it's a very major thing that, all the applicants should be aware of, because it's not possible for you to know everything while going through Google, while going through internet. It's very important to consult with the one who are already experienced with that. And friends, you can also contact attorney Alessandro Giordano, and the contact details are on the screen. So you can call him, you can email him, and you can also visit his website on the given details, and that will be very much helpful for each one of you, those who are navigating these very complex process of the immigration. So go ahead and don't take any chance and contact him.
Right.
That will be the best advice I could give right now.
Thank you for emphasizing that. And also, if I may, you guys can also reach out to me through my social media. I'm on LinkedIn, Alessandro Giordano. I'm on Instagram. My handle is Attorney Alessandro. So feel free to contact me through those, you know, through those means.
Absolutely. We'll try to share your LinkedIn ID as well with our viewers, so that in the comment section, so that our viewers can also reach out to you. So that will be more easier for them also. Okay. And with that, we have already taken Shikha's question, and I can see here some LinkedIn viewer who is saying that, am I late? So I'm so sorry. I think I missed this comment, but no, you're not too late, because it's already about to end, but that's okay. You can still post your question and we will definitely take them up. Also, Alessandro, we have covered a lots of question and we have got very much information in today's session.
Mhm.
There are also two questions from Facebook that I would like to take them up. So, Control, if you could please share the screen and show those Facebook questions if, all right. So, okay. So here's a question that we received from anonymous participant, and he's saying that, "Hello everyone, I'm an Indian national. I have received approval for my EB1 petition with a priority date of December 2024. Currently, I'm in the US on an L1 visa, which is set to expire in 2028. So, can I expect my priority date to become current by then? or should I consider switching to an H-1B visa?
I
What?
would keep. I would. I. Yeah. I understand the question. The visa bulletin is unpredictable, so I would keep the H-1B option in the as my plan B. I would keep it into consideration, but 2028, if you're in status until 2028, and then you have EB1 petition. This doesn't tell me. So is it probably an EB1C? Because if you have
Mhm.
an L1, this might be an EB1C, but again, I'm not sure. Even if it is EB1C or EB1A, still first preference category. Priority date 2024 from India right now for the first preference category. They are at February 2022 for final action dates. You know, it's
Mhm.
February 2022. They're April 2022, almost 3 years behind.
Mhm. Right.
You have
I
four
think.
years to go. I don't know. I don't want to tell you. I don't want to tell you. It's I would definitely keep the H1B as an option um, available.
All right. So I think suggesting H-1B will be a better option, and that will be more safe also. So thank you so
Hopefully,
much.
hopefully you can. Hopefully you make it. Hopefully you make it. But I cannot tell you. Yes, you will. It's the visa bulletin can be too unpredictable.
I think everything is so unpredictable in the field of immigration. We can't
Right.
be assured, but that's okay. Let's move ahead with our next question that we have from our Facebook group. And this is also we have received from an anonymous participant. And the question is about I'm planning to start my EB1A application and considering using Smart Green Card for assistance. So, does anyone know how genuine they are or have any success story testimonials from them? If anyone has filed through them or can recommend other reliable options, I would greatly appreciate your suggestions. For context, I am working as a software developer in an MNC.
I can't comment on that.
All
I
right. I think
mean,
this is a bit different
yeah,
topic, right?
not for me. I don't think it's a question for me.
Okay, that's okay. I think, yeah, of course, it's a bit off topic, but that's okay. I think we got one answer, and we already covered a lot of questions that I prepared, and also the comments also that we got till now. And with that, this will be my last question from you, Alessandro. So, do you know any success story of any individual who has recently secured an EB2 NIW or EB1A visa, and what made their case strong? What's
Sure,
your
I can
thought?
tell you my most recent approvals. My most recent approval that just came in last week is for an EB1A, and it is for an accountant. Usually, right? I know it's an uncommon profession for the EB1A, but I was able to secure an approval to obtain an approval for this client of mine, and I gotta say this person has been a great client. This person and their spouse, they have been great clients of mine. They have been very proactive. We have strategized about the case at the beginning. They worked hard on the case. I worked hard on the case as well, but they were also very proactive building the profile. And we presented a strong case, and as a result, the case was approved. So I'm very happy for that. And as far as NIW, my most recent NIW approval was for a doctor. Doctors are, yeah, cases that I really like. Doctors can do two things, or usually do two things: clinical activity, so they cure patients, and they can perform medical research. The proposed endeavor of this medical doctor was mainly focused on medical research, right? And medical research is usually a strong field of endeavor for NIW because it contributes to expanding the knowledge in medical field. I've represented many doctors, and my experience is that clinical activity is not well received by USCIS as proposed endeavor. being nationally important because USCIS, in some of my cases, taken the stance that, okay, when you take care of patients, the benefit stays with the patients, right? When you on the other hand, when you perform medical research, you are transferring knowledge, sharing knowledge, expanding the knowledge in a given um, subfield, right, in medicine, and that piece of knowledge that you're helping or develop, you're contributing to develop, will be used by other students, other doctors, companies, other patients. So medical research is a strong field of endeavor for NIW, and yeah, this my this my most recent NIW approval was for a doctor who performed medical research in a you know CERN subfield. And another thing, I also recently received a very good Google review for one of my clients, where I was able to, this is for an engineer, where I was able to obtain the approval for the NIW in only 2 days. So we
Oh, wow.
filed, 48 hours, we got the approval, which
Wow.
is my record time. So I'm very, very happy. It's an old case of mine, but I just got the review and I'm very happy about it.
And for which profession he was applying for?
Engineer.
Oh, wow. So
But
I'm
again,
sure.
it's not so much the profession, it's not so much the occupation, it's what you want to do in the United States. Again, profession could be a doctor, but as a doctor, you could do clinical activity, which in my opinion is not very strong for NIW. So I don't. Or as a doctor, you could also do medical research, which I think it's a, it's going to be stronger than only doing clinical activity. So it's not so much the profession or the occupation, is the actual proposed activity, the actual proposed endeavor.
Wow. That's so much to learn and that's so much to explore. I'm sure, because these are the things that I actually didn't know, and I don't know about the viewers, but I think it's very new to them because they are mostly for the profession, they're mostly for the degree, but it's something else. It's very
Oh
hidden
yeah,
thing that
the
we are
degree is
not
one piece of the case. The degree is your foot in the door. After you have your foot in the door, you gotta get in everything else. So you gotta all the other requirements you have. But these cases are definitely interesting. I really enjoy working with professionals, people who are accomplished, you know, professionals, high skilled, educated. They have something. I learned so much from these cases, and it's to me it's very interesting.
Wow. And to us also, it's very interesting to listen to all these cases from you. And
Right.
the best part is that, in fact, the EB2 NIW also took place in 48 hours. So it's a big thing, and I think it's a big
Ooh,
success, that is actually motivating our viewers that it can happen with them also. So
definitely.
I think, yeah, and with that, Alessandro, we have already passed our 1 hour without even realizing it because it
Wow.
was so much we indulged into
Right.
the conversation. And it was so interesting. It was so involving. It was really, I love the energy that you bring to our in our show every
Thank you.
day. I
Appreciate
mean,
it.
every time. And that's lovely. Our viewers really look forward to our sessions always, and it's so good to have you here. We are really honored, and thank you so much for joining us, for bringing all these insights in our show.
Thank
And
you for
yeah,
having me.
absolutely. Thank you so much to us also. And any last message? Well, we have already covered, but still, any goodbye message to our viewers?
No, appreciate your time being here, guys, and reach out to me if you have questions. And I'm available. I'm available to answer your questions.
Wow, that's great. All right, so thank you so much, Attorney Alessandro Giordano, for providing us this very insightful session. As we were already expecting the session to be this great, but still I have to say that. And thank you so much to our viewers also who has joined us in today's session, participated in this, and provided so interesting comments and questions that was really interesting. So thank you so much, everyone, and we are hoping to see you all soon at 4 p.m. EST as we are going to have our daily immigration dose. So stay tuned and stay connected because we'll be providing more news updates, more news that's going to happen around the world. So stick around, and thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. Meanwhile, me, Sam, signing off for now. Goodbye and take care.